this individual, Amir, was someone that was known. He was being watched by authorities, this suspect. Should this have ended up the way it did?
I really don't think so. I mean, as the facts start to come in, it's just mind-boggling. I mean, it's one thing for us not to be able to protect our citizens in the free world from spontaneous militant jihadists who are nonviolent for months and years and then turn violent overnight or within a few days. This guy didn't only make this bizarre trek over 600 miles, as we just heard, down to Italy. He came from Tunisia in 2011, seeking asylum in Italy, was then in jail for 4 years over violence at a migrant center, and then Italy said, you know, you don't have papers, you're out of jail, get out of the country. They deported him to where? To nowhere, just into the EU, into some country, they don't know where, and sent him out. He ended up in Germany, and then Germany in March of this year had him tracking for being a suspect of national security threat, and his roommate was now being arrested a few months ago in November for being part of an ISIS network. And he was, by the way, in the last year committed 4 different acts that brought him into the attention of authorities, be it a drug act, be it violence at a bar, a knife on a bus. I mean, the failure in the German intelligence, the failure in the police system network of sharing information is just mind-boggling.
Yeah, unfortunately, dishearteningly, perhaps, we've seen this before. We've seen someone who ends up ultimately committing some sort of act, having been on the radar previously. And in this case, you know, a paperwork snafu changes what could have been so different. So what should be done, particularly in these European nations where they're seeing such an influx of challenges related to Islamic terrorism?
Well, 2 things. First of all, this guy's a known wolf. He's not alone. Stop the known wolf terminology. These guys are part of a global jihad. I've been asking for the mantra, it's the global jihad, stupid. If they're coming from jihadist countries like Tunisia, Syria, whatever it is, they need to be on the radar. Secondly, we need to monitor not just the ones that are known wolves, that are known to police, but also the ideological public footprints of Islamist websites, of grievance sites that are anti-Western, anti-Semitic, that are part of the Sharia state identification movement. There are a lot of those. They're not on the radar of security. Why? Because our current axis is about countering violent extremism, and it should be countering violent Islamism and political Islam, which is this allegiance that they have not to Western secular states, but to Islamic states. And by the way, for a guy to seek asylum from Tunisia, that's bizarre. Tunisia is not clamping down on dissidents, etc. I mean, that also, we need to be a little more discerning on this complaints of asylum.
Yeah, we know that the majority of refugees flooding into Germany in particular are coming in from Syria at this point in time. But there have been strides made as far as joint terrorism task force type of entities, even overseas, and improving communications between European nations. But at the same time, the terrorists also have networks. So they're able to go and from country to country to get training and then return to their country of origin or return to Europe or go to Europe. I mean, what can be done to kind of infiltrate into that system?
We need to work with reformist Muslims who get it, who know the terminology of jihad, Salafism. The San Bernardino shooters were being educated online at a Huda school, a Pakistani Deobandi-type school. These are terms and ideologies that are Sharia state mentality that we need to be monitoring. The fact that he got a weapon when he went into Italy means he probably had some connections, unless he brought that weapon with him 600 miles, which would be bizarre. But the bottom line is his roommate was connected to ISIS ideology. They both were connected to a radical imam that was known as the Clarion Project reported yesterday. So this stuff is known to many of us. Just analyzing this from the outside, I can't believe it wasn't known to the security apparatuses, and if it wasn't, they need to be working with Muslims who get this, that are secularists, that believe in the need for reform against Islamic state mentality.